Okay, so addressing this whole motion to quash and answering some of your questions. Now, I'm not going at anyone here, I'm just trying to simply help and educate. At the start of this case, when the information was very low, a lot of people were held as suspects. Dylan was one of them, and she was relentlessly thrown under the bus for this, until the affidavit came out, which gave us a bit more information. Now, I get some people are still puzzled about Dylan. Please try and remember that this is a college household that holds a lot of parties, so try and remember the fact that noise in this house is not something that's unheard of to them. Why didn't Dylan react when she heard the noises going on upstairs? Well, from what we can intake, Bryan was roughly in this home for around about 9 minutes, meaning that the altercations were only a couple of minutes long, because when Bryan entered the home, he had the element of surprise. So with the element of surprise in a close combat situation, Bryan would have entered and known what it was he was going to do. Therefore, the sheer panic in the girls would have been absolute mayhem. And no, they might not have screamed, because if Bryan hit a fatal area, it takes roughly around 4 to 8 seconds for them girls to go unconscious. If he hit a vital area in the jugular of any sort, they wouldn't have been able to scream. So yes, there would have been a commotion that was going on, but it would have been roughly around a minute to 2 minutes long. And if you think that the timing of that is way too quick to be able to do what was done, then put someone into a boxing ring with a knife, and then put their opposition in there with no idea as to what's about to happen, and watch what unfolds for the next 2 minutes when there's no escape. So if Dylan heard these noises and shouted up, then why didn't Bethany? Well, if you look at the location of this house, Dylan would have heard this going on a little bit more, because the room above her was where the attack took place. Now, if we believe that KG was actually the target that night, then that's why there was a lot more chaos that ensued in that room, and that's why Dylan may have heard what happened. Xana and Ethan's room is actually above Beth's, but from what we know, that attack was a hell of a lot quicker, because from what we understand, they are just collateral damage at this point. From Dylan shouting up downstairs, we believe that when Bryan goes downstairs, he looks straight ahead. And when we first thought that this occurred, we thought all the victims were asleep. But the affidavit would later prove otherwise from the fact that Xana had ordered a DoorDash and the girls were online on their phone. And we believe that Bryan entered the home through the second floor on the sliding door, and if he did that, he would have noticed to his left that there was a possibility that someone else was awake. So he would have gone upstairs, attacked his main target, and then come downstairs, and unfortunately due to collateral reasons would have taken out the next two. But that's just an assumption that we can take in from the evidence that's been given to us. But these girls were never to understand that there was a quadruple murder happening within inside the house. So why would they just expect that their friends have been brutally murdered? They wouldn't. Noise could be a natural thing, and Dylan could be shouting up to obviously just say, please be quiet, I'm trying to go to sleep. Dylan could have been trying to go back to sleep, had her AirPods in, watching YouTube, we just don't know. All that happened to her is that she heard a load of noise, shouted up, and then she saw an individual leave. So after shouting up and then seeing the individual leave, she may think that this ordeal or the altercation or whatever's been going on between the party and the fact that they've just come home from a night out is now over. She may not be a very confrontational person, therefore she's not just going to start shouting at this individual and giving shit, because she's literally watching the individual leave. What's the point in now causing an argument when you just want to go back to bed? So why is Bethany important in this whole situation? Well, Bryan's calling out Bethany and not the individual that claims to have seen it. Bryan has a PhD in criminology and a master's in criminal justice. He either admits that he's somewhat guilty to this case and then faces the death penalty, or he tries some sort of play, which is what he's doing here. He's literally trying his fucking luck.